likelihood there's going to be the Taliban overrunning everything and owning the whole country is highly unlikely.
Takeover of Afghanistan now inevitable?
No, it is not.
Why?
Because you have the Afghan troops have 300,000 well equipped as any army in the world, and an air force against something like 75,000 Taliban. It is not inevitable.
You trust the Taliban, Mr. President? You trust the Taliban, sir?
Is that a serious question?
It's absolutely a serious question. You trust the Taliban?
No, I do not.
You trust the country to the Taliban?
No, I do not trust the Taliban.
So why are you
responsible for the death of Afghans after you
Mr. President, will you amplify that question, please? Will you amplify your answer, please, why you don't trust the Taliban?
It's a silly question. Do I trust the Taliban? No. But I trust the capacity of the Afghan military, who is better trained, better equipped, and more competent in terms of conducting war. Yes, ma'am.
Thank you, Mr. President. Given the amount of money that has been spent and the number of lives that have been lost, in your view, with making this decision, were the last 20 years worth it?
You know my record. I can tell by the way you asked the question. I opposed permanently having American forces in Afghanistan. I argued from the beginning, as you may recall. It came to light after the administration was over, lasted our administration. No nation has ever unified Afghanistan. No nation. Empires have gone there and not done it. The focus we had, and I strongly supported, and you may remember, I physically went to Afghanistan. I was up in that pass where Osama bin Laden was allegedly escaped or out of harm's way. We went for two reasons. One, to bring Osama bin Laden,
come on, Joe,
to the gates of hell, as I said at the time. The second reason was to eliminate Al-Qaeda's capacity to deal with more attacks in the United States from that territory. We accomplished both of those objectives, period. That's what I believed from the beginning, why we should be and why we should have gone to Afghanistan. That job had been over for some time. And that's why I believe that this is the right decision and, quite frankly, overdue.
Hey, NBC News.
Thank you,
Afghanistan.
Mr. President, thank you very much. Your own intelligence community has assessed that the Afghan government will likely collapse.
That is not true.
Can you please clarify what they have told you about whether that will happen or not?
That is not true. They did not reach that conclusion.
What is the level of confidence that they have that it will not collapse?
The Afghan government and leadership has to come together. They clearly have the capacity to sustain the government in place.
It took just a matter of days for the Western-allied Afghanistan government to collapse and the Taliban to make their move on the capital city. The insurgents entered Kabul Sunday without a fight.
The camera has been trailing those fighters as they make their way through the halls of the Afghan presidential palace.
Taking control of the presidential palace as the Afghan president fled and foreign powers raced to pull their people out of a country in crisis. Helicopter after helicopter.
We are heartbroken at the situation the Afghan people find themselves in today.
Canada is temporarily shutting down diplomatic operations in Kabul. Global Affairs says the embassy will resume its operations as soon as the security situation in Afghanistan allows us to guarantee appropriate service and adequate security for our staff. National Defence says it was getting Canadian diplomats out on military planes, with many of them already on the way home. Justin Trudeau says the government will work over the coming months to resettle thousands of Afghan refugees whose lives are now in danger.
We will continue to work to get as many Afghan interpreters and their families out as quickly as possible, as long as the security situation holds.
The Taliban is expected to declare the restoration of their rule 20 years after the American military drove them from power.
The inability of Afghan security forces to defend their country has played a very powerful role in what we've seen.
The Biden administration says the Taliban moved faster than expected, but defended its decision to withdraw U.S. troops after 20 years of war.
We inherited a deadline negotiated by the previous administration. That deadline.
No. And Trump was doing things differently. And if the deadline was such a bad thing, why did Biden go through with it? Quit blaming shit on Trump, you fucking losers.
Was May 1st. And the idea that we could have maintained the status quo beyond May 1st if the president had decided to stay, I think is a fiction.
Trudeau said Canada was in close contact with the U.S., which has increased its troop presence on the ground to around 6,000. Meanwhile, NATO said it is maintaining its diplomatic presence in Kabul, helping to keep the airport open.
So 2,500, 5,000, now 6,000. I think the numbers are freaking a little bit, maybe probably closer to 10,000. Maybe. I don't know. Can't trust these fucking numbers.